My story, in the nuttiest of nutshells, I was born with a condition called aniridia, which means that you don't have irises. Kind of a key component of the eye, the iris. As you may or may not know, it's responsible for controlling how much light comes in and goes out of your eye, and also is the colour of your eye. So I just have black eyes, which I gotta tell you was always quite awkward at school when you had to write down in your exercise book what colour eyes you got. Nobody believed me that I had black eyes. There are a whole host of fun little extras that come along with this condition, but basically for the most part of my childhood I was just partially sighted, and I didn't really notice. My parents were very keen to keep my childhood much like anybody else's. I just felt like another girl. I mean, I was kind of vaguely aware that I couldn't quite see as much as other people, but I kind of just felt like one of those people who might need glasses. I did wear glasses, so hey, it was fine. It hasn't been up until recently that other complications have come along and made things worse for me. I've had a multitude of operations over the last couple of years. Being in my 20s, it's quite a difficult time for this to happen. You're becoming an adult, you're trying to find your independence, you're trying to find your way in the world, maybe somebody to settle down with, a career, a life that you want to build up for yourself. When you've got something nasty that's kind of eating away at all of those dreams and that life, it's a difficult thing. I never realised when I was younger that it was a possibility that things would get worse for me. My parents have said the doctors did mention it, but apparently I was too young or distracted by the fact that I might get a sweet if I behaved to actually listen. It's only when you grow up and you start taking notice and going, maybe this might mean something for my life, I should probably pay attention, that you learn all of these new things that you were never aware of before. So it was quite scary for me when suddenly things developed and I started having to take eye drops. My vision started changing and things started to escalate more and more. I was under the impression, now I feel like the delusion, that everything was just going to kind of stay stable and going along just fine. And I even made jokes about it when I went back to the hospital for my 6-monthly checkup. Oh, I'm just going to find out if I still can't see. But what I meant by that was that my sight hadn't changed at all. All of a sudden, my sight was beginning to change and it was really scary. For me, it's kind of a gradual thing that some days is better and some days is worse. Because it's gradual, you get to a point where you realise, hang on, last month I could read this size print and now it just looks like fuzzy, blurry blobs and I don't know what it says. That's a terrifying thought. What if my eyesight is just deteriorating slowly, I'm not noticing it, and then one day I just won't be able to see? I think it's probably a thought that so many people with sight loss are going through. The one thing that you dread, just one day that you would wake up and realise that you've lost more than you ever knew you would, or that you ever noticed that you had, and it's completely overwhelming for you. That's the main reason that I'm so passionate to start something really positive, to find smiles and to help people be happy. Regardless of if you're in a similar situation to me, whatever you're going through in life, we all face different challenges. Even though they seem a million miles apart, quite often the emotions behind them and the ways in which you can deal with them are surprisingly similar. I'm always amazed that I can talk to other people, and although they haven't been through anything that I have in the same way, they can relate because of an experience that they've had where they've felt the same way, they've felt helpless or they've needed a bit of encouragement. It's such a reassuring thing that we can all help each other even if we don't know the ins and outs of what each other's going through. We can still come together and build something meaningful for everyone. I love that idea. One of my main goals in life is just to be happy within my own skin, feel at peace with myself and to accept myself for who I am, to know that I'm just as valid as anybody else and be really proud of that. I'm not going to lie to you, it is something that is a daily battle for me. Some days I feel on top of the world, other days I just can't stand to be myself. I think we all go through those phases. It's another thing that everyone can relate to. Everyone has times when they don't feel comfortable in their own skin. We're all going through this same thing, so we might as well work together and find ways that we can encourage and support each other. Also, now that I've told you that I can't see very well, I can share all the ridiculous things that happen in my life because of that fact. Running into people, completely ignoring people, basically reaping havoc wherever I go. It's an interesting life and it's one that I don't want to forget. It's one that I want to be proud to associate my name with. This really isn't about me having all the answers, but it's more about us trying to figure them out together through things that we learn through our lives. I might have to work that little bit harder to find my smile, but if it teaches me things that help others find theirs along the way, it's totally worth it in my opinion.